Cut! You may now sit.
Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that this court is a place of fairness and respect. Therefore, I urge all parties to behave with decorum at all times throughout these proceedings. Prosecuting counsel, you may now proceed with your opening statement.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, members of the court, today we're not here to argue semantics or to nitpick over morality. We are here to confront a culture that has thrived for centuries, one that has robbed women of their agency, their dignity, and too often their lives. Our case is not against an individual, no. The defendant is far greater than one person. It is a system. My lady, we will hear 5 testimonies today. I implore you, members of the court, to listen, not just with your ears, but with your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, prosecuting counsel, for that opening statement. You may now call your first, after which defense counsel will cross-examine and you may argue the facts.
Thank you, my lady. I would like to call Miss Oca Abraham to give her testimony.
My name is Oca Abraham. It was in my first year in the university. I was excited, hopeful, and eager to learn. This guy, he was a friend. At least I thought he was. One night, he asked me to come over to study. I trusted him, so I went. We talked, laughed, and then he kissed me. I was taken aback, so I pushed him away. And then he smiled and said, "You're leading me on. You came here, didn't you? I know you want it. Just relax, you'll enjoy it." I told him, no, I came here only to study. But he wouldn't stop. I froze. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just lay there. When I told the people closest to me about it, they questioned me, blamed me, and for many years, I have asked myself, was it my fault? Was I a fool for going to his house? Should I have fought harder? Was it even rape? If I didn't scream, I didn't want it. I did not consent, and that should have been enough.
Thank you, Miss Abraham, my lady.
Defense, you may proceed.
My lady, Miss Abraham, did your school have a library?
Objection, my lady.
Overruled. Answer the question, miss.
Yes, my school has a library.
So you had the option of studying with your schoolmates at the library, which your institution
thoughtfully provided, but we went to the house of this young man to study. And if we look at it, we probably wore revealing clothing.
What?
You had options, Oseka. You could have pushed him away. You could have run out of the place, but no, you did not. And you blame who exactly for your predicament?
Objection, my lady. The defense counsel is shifting blame to the victim rather than addressing the evidence.
Absolutely not, my lady. I'm merely exploring the inconsistencies in the testimony as relevant to this case. But no further questions, my lady.
Mrs. Chica Okeke, please take the stand.
My name is Chica Okeke. I was married for 15 years. My husband was a good man, a man who loved me and our 4 children. And together we built a life that we loved. When he died 3 years ago, his people, the people that called me daughter, sister, turned to strangers overnight. On the day of his funeral, I was stripped bare of my clothes, of my dignity. They made me sit on the cold floor and insisted I wail like a child. They said I killed my husband because I was not crying enough. To punish me, they shaved my hair. They made me drink water used to wash his corpse. They said his death was my fault. Why would I kill a man I love so much? Why would I want to raise 4 kids on my own? I asked that they do an autopsy, but they refused. It didn't end there. They took his land, his house, and every single kobo in his account. I say his, but it was ours. They said a woman has no right to inherit. Even though I worked side by side with my husband to build everything that we had. For the past 3 years, I've stood up to them. I fought back, but they laughed in my face. They said, go to court if you want. You'll spend years there, and you'll still lose because you are just a woman. My lady, tell me, when will justice matter for women like me?
Thank you, Mrs. Okeke.
Mrs. Okeke, we all know that these traditional rites are peculiar to your tribe, right? My lady, many women have performed these rites before, so why is her case different?
My lady, what happened to Mrs. Okeke is an injustice perpetrated by men who, when their young wives die, suspiciously are not forced to perform the same rites. See the imbalance?
I don't see it. But let us address the matter of her inheritance. Mrs. Okeke lost her inheritance simply because property follows the lineage of men, as it has always been.
Well, if that is your argument, then the inheritance should have gone to the sons.
Who are underage.
Who are men?
No further question.
Thank you, Mrs. Okeke. My lady, if you permit, I would like to call Miss Fatima Aziz to the stand.
You may step down, Mrs. Okeke.
My lady, I've always wanted to be a president. That's what I told my friends and everyone who has asked me what I dreamt of. But I'm a girl. And I don't know if that's possible. Last term, we needed a new class captain. And I contested. My friends and my classmates, they all supported me. They said I was organized, I loved to help people. All my classmates voted openly. I counted my votes. I had won. But when the teacher announced the winner, he said he had won, and his votes were nowhere close to mine. When I asked why, he said, boys make better leaders. Then he appointed me assistant class captain. I accepted. Now, I host class activities, I write the names of noisemakers, and I do everything that a class captain is supposed to do. I'm assisting him, and he's doing very little. When I confronted my teacher about this, he said, I'll understand when I grow older. But I'm 9, and I understand now. I understand that some people would doubt me, but I know I can do it myself. And I'm going to prove them wrong.
Little girl, you should listen to your teacher, you know. One day when you are older, you will understand that the man is the head. Don't let ambition get into your head. Women are created to support the men, not to compete with them. No further questions, my lady.
Thank you, Miss Fatima Aziz. Miss Demilade Adeshina, please take the stand.
My name is Demilade Adeshina, and I've always been a bright student. My academic records from primary school to 100 level are there to prove it. When I decided to pursue my university degree, my goal was to come out with a first class. And so I studied hard. I would study so hard that my eyes would begin to hurt. And it paid off because in my first year, I got all A's. And I was happy because it meant that I was getting closer to my goal. But in my second year, I got a new lecturer and he was also my HOD. And things began to change. It started with small comments. You look beautiful today. Your clothes are hugging your body in the right way. I thought it was harmless because he was my lecturer, he was my HOD, and he was old enough to be my father. One day he called me into his office and he told me that my grades were slipping and that as HOD he could help me with it. He then proceeded to ask me to come to a hotel room so that we can discuss. And I refused. I begged him, I told him that I can prove myself through hard work, but he insisted. So I threatened to report him, and he laughed in my face and he said, "Who will believe you?" I proceeded to report anyways. I reported to the dean, nothing happened. I went ahead to report to the Senate, still nothing happened. They said I didn't have any evidence. And he was right, nobody believed me. I decided that I was going to study even harder. So I would stay up all night studying, reading, but no matter what I did, this man will still fail me. I graduated with a third class. A third class. And the man is still HOD of that department because nobody believed me. My lady, no woman should have to batter her body for success. No girl should be punished for saying no.
Thank you, Miss Adeshina.
My lady, do you see what this woman is wearing? When you go to a man's office alone, dressed in body-hugging, revealing clothing, what do you expect?
Objection, my lady.
Overruled.
She's dressed seductively now, thus bringing attention to herself. Oh, she will say it's unwanted attention. But I put it to you, Miss Demilade Adeshina, that when you dress like this, you want the attention. You crave the attention, and you got said attention from your lecturer. So please take responsibility. No further questions, my lady.
Barrister Lawson, you can call the next person. Thank you.
Miss Jessica Essen, please take the stand.
My name is Jessica Essen. I just want a place to live. Is that too much to ask? I work hard. I pay my rent on time. Yet every single time I try to get an apartment, I hear the same thing. Where is your husband? And when I say, oh, I'm unmarried, they say, we're very sorry, we cannot rent to a single woman. On worst days, they say, we know they give house to a shewo. Me, a sex worker, because I don't have a husband, because I dare to live on my own. Do you know what it feels like to have to convince a landlord that you are not what he believes that you are? To have to explain your entire life and your source of income just to rent a one-bedroom apartment. To have to choose between lying about being married or sleeping on the streets. The last time, I had to beg my male cousin to pretend that he's my fiancé who is based abroad so that I could rent a house that I liked. Why is it okay for a single man to rent whatever apartment he likes, but it's not okay for a single woman? I'm not ashamed of my marital status. I am a woman. I am single. And I am deserving of respect. My dignity should be respected. Stop the discrimination.
Thank you, Miss Essen. That will be all, my lady.
My lady, are we all going to pretend that we do not see how this woman is dressed? Young woman, have you never heard of the phrase, dress the way you want to be addressed?
Objection, my lady.
Sustained.
My colleague is once again shifting blame to the victim. And this is the problem with society. Society keeps letting criminals go scot-free.
Oh no, I am not blaming her. I am asking her to take responsibility. Hey, look at me. Look at me. People do not need me to tell them that I am a woman of the law. No. And you cannot force a landlord to rent out their property to you. Not especially as you've made a bad impression on them. My lady, no further questions.
Barrister Lawson, you may give your closing statement.
My lady, members of the court, we have heard the testimonies. We have felt their weight. 5 voices, each carrying the echoes of millions more. Today, this court does not hold the power to rewrite the past, but it does hold the power to shape the future. The power to say enough. Enough to the laws that fail women. Enough to the customs that reduce them to property. Enough to the silent complicity that allows violence to thrive. Justice is not merely a verdict. It is an action. Do you want to be remembered as those who upheld an unjust status quo? Or the ones who dared to break the cycle? The scales of justice rest in your hands. I rest my case.
Thank you, Barrister Lawson. Barrister Peters, you may now proceed with your closing remarks.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, members of the court, my colleague said in her opening statement that we are here to confront culture. I weep because this is how society crumbles. When we begin to dismantle traditions that were laid down by our ancestors, then we inevitably go towards destruction. But I rejoice. Oh, I rejoice. I rejoice because I know today we did not come here to confront tradition. We have come here to defend the foundation upon which our society was built. What my learned colleague calls oppression, we call structure. What she labels injustice, we see as the natural order, one that has guided our homes, our communities, our values. change is tempting, but change without caution is dangerous. So today, I ask you to please consider the majority that understand that tradition is not oppression, but identity. Stability is not the enemy. Order is not oppression.
Are you serious?
What we have heard here today is not just the story of Fatima, Okeke, Demilade, Chica, or Jessica. It is the story of a society that allows leadership to be a privilege for boys, but a fight for girls. The story of customs that strip widows of their dignity and their property. Of predators hiding behind titles, authority, and friendship. The story of a culture that doubts its victim but protects perpetrators. Today, this court declares enough. Enough of the silence. Enough of the oppression disguised as tradition. Let this be a verdict not just for these women, but for every individual in this room and beyond. Let this moment ignite a movement that challenges the norms, questions the biases, and uproots the system that perpetuates inequality. It is not enough to say, I respect women. This respect must translate into actions. To the lawmakers and leaders, it is not enough to pass laws. You must enforce them, ensuring that the voices of women are heard and that justice is not a delayed promise, but a living reality. And to you, our women and girls, your stories matter. Your voices matter. Speak, even when your voice shakes. Fight, even when the world tells you not to. Together, we are stronger. Together, we will rise. This court rules that silence is complicity, and complicity is a crime. Now go out and act. If not now, then when? And if not us, then who? This court is adjourned, but the fight has just begun. I rise.
No,